Right, guys. Appreciate you guys joining in. Appreciate you guys listening. We're back for another space. A bit later than normal, so apologies on that. But yeah, we're back. So do me a favor, retweet the space, quote tweet the space. Today is day 99 of the war. Day 99 of the war. Lots to speak about and quite a lot to get through. So do retweet the space, reshare the space, let everybody know we're live. Anyone who quote tweets the space, we will retweet the quote tweet. Huge. Actually, why didn't I even put in the title? I should change the title. I'm just about to change the title. It's meant to be Pentagon confirm Israel spying on America. Okay, cool. Whatever, Israel. That's better. Okay, guys, retweet the space, reshare the space, let everybody know we're live. So yeah, let me just quickly check who's tweeted that and let me retweet their quote tweets and then I'll take it from there. Here we go. And then I'll go through the news for today. Thanks to Hope, Moy, Ted, The Calling, Sibley, Safe, Musty, Albert, Zina, and Bing. Thanks to all those people who quote tweeted the space, I have retweeted the quote tweets. So obviously it's been confirmed that the Pentagon has raised its alert over Israeli espionage, as in Israel is spying on Donald Trump and his administration to the highest levels. And when you add that to this new bill, which merges the Israeli and the American army, you essentially have a scenario where how can you merge with someone who literally is spying on you, spying on your negotiations, spying on everything you do? And not just ordinary spying, but this is at the highest level. The Pentagon raises the threat of Israel spying on America to its highest levels. So let me just give you some of the news and then we'll get into the conversation. Okay, so the first piece of news, oh wait, there was some I just saw now as well, so I want to just see if there's something huge and then I'll give you the overarching news. Okay, so we do have the Pakistan's Interior Minister who has arrived and is giving a statement. He's arrived in Iran and he said he gave a message directly to Mujtaba Khamenei. And it's this, let me just read you. Okay, it was this. I am here to deliver a special message from the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister of Pakistan regarding the current situation. I think the message is very important. I hope everything comes to an end. Skip the diplomats, skip the negotiation team. Asa Namiya Nia. and Prime Minister Sharif are now communicating directly with the one man in Iran whose signature actually matters. The pragmatists negotiated the framework. The IRGC has its objections. The supreme leader decides, and Pakistan just put a letter in his hand on the exact weekend Trump circled for the deal. Alongside the letter, 10 billion Iran-Pakistan trade agreement. Alongside the letter, 10 billion Iran-Pakistan trade agreement, Pakistan showing Tehran what the post-war economy looks like if they sign. Every previous breakthrough in this war ran through Islamabad. If the war ends this weekend, it will be because of what's written in that letter. So Pakistan essentially pushing for the war, and I mean the message does seem to again kind of show some form of conflict, because he's saying the pragmatists negotiate the framework. The IRGC has its objections, but now it's up to the supreme leader to decide. That's interesting. Pakistan's essentially, in my view, trying to cause a bit of disunity amongst Iran there. So let's see how that comes across in that view. But then they also want a $10 billion trade agreement between Iran and Pakistan, thanks to the Church 5000 with the level 1 membership. Thank you so much. And you also became a member of the Moral Resistance as well. So welcome to being a member and a part of the Moral Resistance on YouTube. I just realized I haven't tweeted out the YouTube link. Let me just tweet that out. That news what I just told you just come out. Obviously, I'm going to continue giving you the rest of the news for the day. Okay. Thanks to Mandy, Lilp, EL, Ucolin, Art, Rachel. Actually, let me read everybody even if I can't tweet to it. Not what it seems. Art Gorilla. Thanks to everyone. It's Corty. Thank you so much. What the hell? Death of Valkyrie. April, Paul, Chaos, Shinophile, Oliver, Siddhat, and there was one more person I just seen now. What was that? X-Race Horse Owner. Cool. Okay. Thanks to everyone who retweeted. Let me just continue giving the news, and then I want to bring people up for the discussion. Oh, I'm going to put my phone down. I was meant to tweet out the link, wasn't I? Just give me 1 second while I tweet out the link for the YouTube. In the meantime, do retweet, reshare, let everybody know we're live. I want to bring people up for the discussion. 1 second, so I'm just going to put here we go. Live on YouTube. Sorted. Let's put it in the nest and then we're sorted. So the first one is obviously, the first big news is at the highest level, it's been confirmed that the Pentagon has put the highest level of alert on the fact that Israel is spying on the United States of America and spying on top American officials right now. Okay, let me just, continue giving you the news. Obviously, we've got more videos coming out from the resistance in Lebanon, who continue to take out key targets in Lebanon. And if you were watching our interview yesterday with Ma'ruf, what's his name again? I forgot his first name. Laith Maruf. He explained how in reality, Hezbollah is winning, and he doesn't. He expects Israel to only last weeks within Lebanon. Albania's prime minister said that nothing can stop his deal to sell protected coastline to Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. He said not 5,000 protesters in the streets, not even 500,000 protesters, 500,000 can stop me. We also had the Israelis bomb and kill, and I'm going to obviously when the news comes, but kill high-level personnel from the Lebanese army, not from Hezbollah, from the Lebanese army. So you've got Joseph Aoun, who has sold out to Israel, and they're just murdering his people, his own army. This is the hypocrisy of this individual being exposed. Iranian foreign minister said the Israeli army's targeting of Lebanese army elements once again confirms its barbarism against Lebanon with all its components. The martyrdom of Brigadier General Sabra, Captain Khori, and soldier Ghazala is an enemy raid. Is a heinous crime against Lebanese sovereignty and a clear aggressive message. So it was a Lebanese army brigadier general they killed. They killed a brigadier general, a captain, and a soldier. This is what they do. What's he gonna do? Continue to shake the hands? This guy is a fraud, a traitor. Jordan condemns Iran's attack on Bahrain and Kuwait, labeling them as dangerous escalation. Jordan, that's hilarious. Traitors. Russia continues to build on the defense. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi responded to Lebanese President Aoun. He said, based on Mr. Aoun's comments, one would think it's Iran that has occupied a fifth of Lebanon, displaced a quarter of Lebanon, and bombs its countries on a daily basis. Had Lebanon been a bargaining chip for Iran, we'd have a deal long ago. Save Lebanon from your real foe, Mr. President. Golden point. Actual golden point. Iran could actually have a deal if they just sold Lebanon out and used it as a chip. But they haven't done so. The ceasefire, the deal remains in question because they're not willing to sell out Lebanon. Obviously, you guys saw last night we had major bombing last night from US. So what happened was the US tried to take out 4 vessels out of the Strait of Hormuz. If anyone missed the space yesterday, we did 2 spaces yesterday because as soon as Iran started bombing, we restarted the space. But if you missed it as a recap, and remember, tomorrow's a huge day. Tomorrow is day 100, by the way. We basically had Lebanese TV broadcast. So Israel 4 basically 4 vessels that tried to get out of the Strait of Hormuz, and then what happened was Iran basically disabled one of them. The US then went and fired at. They tried to do it without basically going through the correct procedure. The US then attacked Sarik, Goruk, and Keshem Island, hitting the telecommunication and radar systems. The Israelis then said that it was because, and then Iran responded. Now, we did hear reports yesterday that there were 4 casualties that have not been verified at the moment, so take that with a grain of salt. But Iran then responded and hit Bahrain and Kuwait, and they said that the remaining amount of active situation, whatever was on there, has just now been completely decimated and destroyed. Okay, and remember, Mossad has let go of the I believe it was the deputy. Let me see. The new head Roman government dismissed the deputy head of the apparatus, who served for 22 years and received 5 Israeli security rewards. He'll be replaced by another figure within the apparatus. So that is a Mossad member, Mossad deputy. Let go. Is that because the operation is going really bad? This is the main question. Jerry Gershin, a former deputy commander of the Israeli regime's northern front, Israel has lost control of the war, and currently Israel and the US are losing to Iran. So this is Jerry Gershin, former deputy commander of the Israeli regime's northern front, says Israel's lost control of the war. Israeli media, another military commander within Israel media said Hezbollah cannot be disarmed without a full occupation of Lebanon. There were more Israeli casualties today. Okay, and getting more information now about this. That apparently Israeli intelligence agencies also eavesdropped on Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Albridge Colby, the Pentagon's police chief in Jerusalem. Israeli authorities denied it, saying these are false reports. According to New York Times report published today, American reports raised concerns. I mentioned that the US is monitoring a widespread increase in Israeli espionage activities against it, that describe it as crossing the red line compared to similar activities that occurred in the past. Among the targets spied on by the Israeli officials include Witkoff, Trump, his envoy Elbridge Colby, and Michael Dermino, which is the Under Secretary of Defense Policy now. I don't think they need to spy on Witkoff, but that's the claim. That's the claim. So claim is they spied on Witkoff, Elbridge Colby, who's the Pentagon policy chief, and I mentioned Elbridge Colby, Elbridge Colby, who is the Under Secretary of Defense Policy. Oh, sorry, and his senior deputy Michael Domino. So these are just some examples of the people that Israel spied on. And we had many of these Israelis entering, Jewish Zionists entering the West Bank and killing children and their mothers. I believe there's an incident in the West Bank today where they murdered a 2-year-old child, just assassinated the 2-year-old child. 5 new power plants to come online in Tehran. Farhad Shabe, CEO of Tehran Regional Electric Company, he said this summer 30 megawatts of new capacity will be added to Tehran's electricity grid with an investment of over 903 billion tomans. 2 power plants in Nesrabad and Trasht with a total capacity of 10 megawatts, and the other power plants in Kale and Pakdasht and Savadasht with over 84% physical progress. All of these are meant to be coming online in the summer. And the Lebanese army Baza said were killed by Israel, while the president of Lebanon continues to refuse to arm them. Okay, that's just some of the news. Let me just see what the panelists have to say. If you want to add to the conversation, then do request and come across. Let's go to Dito. Dito, you've come up to the stage. Give us your thoughts.
I mean, it's similar to what Simon has said previously. It's all theatrical, and I think they are I mean, Israel is a toxic asset, and obviously the agenda is the expansion of Greater Israel. Um, I don't believe in any ceasefire. In all honesty, I think it's just to manipulate the market, even though there is a bloody bloodbath going on. But yeah, but those are my thoughts at the moment. There's nothing much I can add on to it. It's just a case of, just supporting Iran and just fighting the resistance as much as they can, and hopefully overturn this BS of a war. And also shout out to the Albanian brothers that has shown a form of resistance with the whole Kushner asset takeover in Albania. But other than that, it's been a while, Suleiman, since I've came to your space. I changed my name, and my original name at that time, 2 years ago, was the Prognosticator. I'm not too sure if you remember. I remember Sister Khaleesi was there. There are some familiar faces such as Brother Public, and obviously a couple of new faces that I've never seen. But thank you for having me on the panel. There is so much that I do want to share with you, but I am overwhelmed with a bit
So
of information.
can we
But
just deal with some of the points you made? So obviously, don't
sure.
mention people's names who are not on the space. But in terms of what you had to say, so on the one hand you say it's theater, on the other hand you say Iran's resistant. How can you explain how it could be theater and then Iran resistant? They seem like a contradiction.
So in regards to me saying it's a theater, the theater in the aspect of they're negotiating with saying that they are having a negotiation with the US and Iran, but then you got Professor Morandi who also states that it's all BS coming from the US, and they're just trying to manipulate the stock market, which is coming from the US. So
Yeah, but that's
which
not the
is
position of theatre. So look, the position of theatre, now this is why we need to understand what your point is. Because the position of theatre is that actually, and I think it's the Zionist position, that basically Iran and America are working together, colluding, and this is all fake. And so when America bombs Iran, essentially Iran's agreed, look, you can bomb these areas and hit these people, and you can hit our country. And then similarly, America said, look, you can hit these areas. That's the position of theatre, which I disagree with vehemently. I think it gives basically it's a cover for Israel and the United States of America. But how is that congruent with your position that Iran is a resistance? That's the bit I don't get. Because either you believe it's theater, and that means Iran's not resisting, they're colluding, or it is that they are resisting.
Oh, so when I mention the fact that it's a resistance, I mean they are resisting to maintain the regime of maintaining their power, because I think that the Zionist regime, I think they want to put someone the likes of Pahlavi in position.
But can
You
you see
know.
how that's a contradiction, though? I think you're still not getting my point. So they claim about this being a theater. This is why I feel like everyone just used that word without even knowing when people are using that word, what it means. And I'm not attacking you. I want to have this discussion. So the claim of theater is that this current government, meaning Mujtaba Khamenei, part of the agreement was he was going to let his dad be murdered. Part of the agreement was he was going to let his wife get murdered. Part of the agreement was he was going to let his children get murdered. And this is the government that's actually going to be in power. This is the government that's been chosen by Trump, by Israel. That is the theater. And so everything we've viewed over the last 99 days is fake. That's the position of theater. So I just don't understand how that, which I don't agree with, obviously, goes with your position of it's a resistance. Either they are not resistance and they are playing everyone, or they are resisting and therefore it's not theater. And the only thing is that America, and then what you don't mean is theater, you mean America's lying to us. So I'm just trying to understand your point.
No, no, no. The second point that you just made. So I think I mispronounced or misused the word theater when I was watching Simon Dixon's podcast, and yeah,
Well,
and
his
it's also not.
position, well, again, don't mention people who are not here because it's
Oh
awkward.
shit! Sorry, my
Yeah,
bad.
but the point is, his claim is that it's all fake. Like the Mujtaba Khamenei and all these guys agree to everything that's happening is his position, which I don't agree with. But now you mentioned him, this is why I don't want to talk about people who are not here. When he's here, it's a different conversation. But my point is, so this is the thing now. A lot of people hear words that they don't understand the point. But the point is, your position isn't the same then, right? Your position, if I've understood it well and do elaborate and illuminate, is that it's that it's actually that Iran is resisting, and that what you call it again, and that the Americans actually are lying to the public and the Israelis are lying to the public about negotiations. Is that like more like your position? And if it is, do elaborate.
Well, based on what you have said, I think that has now changed my viewpoint of how I've been seeing of what's been shared to us on Twitter. So I guess if this is all a show, then I'm not too sure what the end result is for Iran. In that case, because I thought I came in an agenda knowing or believing based on what I've read, is that they're trying to maintain their regime and their power in going against the West or the Zionism cult. And on top of that, I also believe that Trump is also saying these false claims of a ceasefire and stuff just so that he could manipulate the market. And that's the position that I have
Well, I agree with
come
that.
to.
So I think your position is probably more aligned with, I think, my view. I don't know if obviously there'll be some differences, which is that the United States of America, and let me relay my position and see if you agree more with that, and not that it's theatre, that the United States of America and Israel attempted to do this illegal war against Iran. Iran were able to resist against them, push back against them to the extent where they end up losing the kinetic part of the war. Since then, he's put this kind of fragile blockade in place that has no real implications to it. And the aim of it is essentially to continue what the situation is now. And what I mean by that is, as you said, to continue to enrich himself as he manipulates the market. And so he'll be like a dealer's close during the weekdays to pump the market. And then he'll say, oh my God, there's going to be war on the weekends to short the market. Sorry, to once to long the market, other ones to short the market. And in reality, he's enriching himself while the world is financially and financially losing out. That's kind of my position.
No, I agree with you in that sense. But then my next question to you is, yeah, based on what everything's going on, because this is the other point that I also want to make. Um, is it a case that that Iran or the regime itself is it going to absolutely fall? Because I don't see the United States stopping, and I feel like they need to please Israel and get what they want. So I'm just trying to determine what the end result is. Is it to topple the regime so that they could put their puppets in, or is it a case of the regime is going to do their utmost best to maintain their power as much as possible, and then come to a neutral agreement and succumb to the West's rules and regulations?
So do you mean like what their original plan was or what their plan is now?
What their plan is now.
Okay. So I think the original plan was what you just said, which is to try and change the government. And let's use the word government because I think language is really important. This is a very and I know you don't intend it in that way, but just to make sure, this is like a very Israeli, American invading type of language. Uh, I mean, they are not a regime; they're a legitimate government. They are the rulers of their country. They've been, in terms of President Pezeshkian as an example, he's been chosen by the people. So let's try and use accurate language if we can. So in terms of the Iranian government, I do believe that Trump has now accepted that he will not succeed in his attempt to change the government. And as such, his new perspective is not to change the government anymore, and his new perspective is to negotiate with the current government in the current position, which is a position where the Americans are in a position of weakness, the Iranians and Israelis, and the Iranians are in a position of strength. And so negotiation is happening in that regard. And so there's going to be no scenario where he does that. And you see that with his language. So when he was speaking to American media, he said he said, what was it again? He said, "Oh, I'm paraphrasing here, but something along the lines. Oh, I love the new supreme leader. Like, I'd love to meet him, and I don't know, like, hang out with him or whatever. I'd love to meet him or whatever it is, and I'd love to see him and all this kind of stuff." So that's a complete change of perspective from "we're gonna change the regime" is their statement. "We are gonna topple them. We're here to save you," and all of these claims.
Right, I see. Because my other point that I was about to make was with the United States taking over Venezuela and stuff. And I don't know if you feel the same way as I do, and I think we might go slightly off topic here. And it's in regards to Jackson Hinkle and how he comes across as an individual, as a freedom fighter, as an activist, and whatnot. Because when he had a good relationship with Maduro in Venezuela, like 3 or 4 months down the line, it's got taken over, and now he's in Turkey, spending his time with his partner, traveling around Turkey. I don't know, but for some odd reason, I suspect that he's also an agent who's just passing information just to find out choke points and weak points for Turkey. Because what happens after Iran? Because the United States, they also have, their eyes
Well,
on Greenland. They have their eyes on Cuba. I mean, after Iran, is it going to be Turkey? Is it going to be Pakistan? Like what is I'm finding Jackson Hinkle a bit suspicious right now,
Well, let
and
me
I'm hoping
just
you could.
let me
Yeah, go
just
on.
jump
Sorry.
in on that. First of all, I don't find Jackson suspicious. I think he's a good person. He's a good guy, and I think to impugn this onto him when there's no evidence to impugn such a thing on someone is completely out of order. He's someone who, along with myself, uh, has spoken out against the Gaza genocide on day zero when others were unwilling to do so. I remember the reason his account and my account blew up is because we took the risk on day one. I know many people learnt afterwards, and that's fine, no problem with that whatsoever. But I remember I was the first person, and he immediately, when he came back from Russia, I believe he's in Russia or something, I can't remember the specifics, but I remember about 12 hours later or something, he immediately jumped in on that. So I disagree that he's some kind of agent passing on information about Turkey, unless you mean that he's passing on information to the resistance about Turkey, because Turkey is supplying currently Israel with a huge amount of gas and various other energy. But in terms of Turkey, yeah, I do believe the Israelis' plan is Turkey and Pakistan in the future. But in terms of Jackson, just got to disavow what you got to say. There's no evidence for that at all. He's someone who has, in the last 3 years, largely speaking, acted very honorably, spoken out against all forms of oppression, and spoken for anyone who is being attacked, to the extent where many people call him, like, I don't know, brown-eyed lover or something, and he doesn't. He's an American. He's a family of being an American since the Mayflower. He could easily have got a very substantive role in any of the MAGA or any of these positions based on his family heritage. Young guy, American, well spoken. But so I just completely disavow what you gotta say, and I feel like there is merit to question some people for sure, but I think Jackson Hinkle's one of the few that I would not question in terms of him colluding with the United States of America and Israel, as per your claim.
Thank you, Suleiman, for clearing that up. Once again, it was just a suspicious thought, and I just wanted to get that out of my chest so that
No
you could,
problem.
educate me.
No
Last,
problem whatsoever. We're here to have a discussion. I appreciate your very calm demeanor.
yeah, no, Suleiman, like I said, I used to jump on your space 2 years ago. I just changed my name just to keep it
Oh
short.
my God, is this true? Have they just banned Jackson on YouTube? Is this true? I just seen them.
Oh,
Oh my God, did you take Jackson out, bro?
who me? No, no, of
Oh
course not.
my
I don't think I have the
God.
ability for that.
Oh my God, like, I'm just checking his channel now. No, his channel's there. Why is people lying? Who just said that? Jackson got just got a 2 year YouTube ban. Lee Arjun, you just said he got a ban, and I'm seeing his channel is there. So can you explain it? Or were you just on the YouTube chat? Were you just relaying fake news? Now I'm looking at his channel. I haven't seen him post anything in 9 days. Let me just see. No, he posted something 2 days ago. This is just ridiculous. Like, why would you make something up unless you've got more information? And he hasn't been banned. Oh, he has been banned, but you can't see it. So I don't know how YouTube works, to be honest, when they ban people. I thought the channel completely goes off live. So if you can clarify, that would be great. If you're putting misinformation, then that's not great on my YouTube chat. Okay, cool. Go ahead. You were gonna speak.
Yeah, so Suleiman, yeah, like I said, I've been following you guys since the last 2 years until I got banned in 2025, and then I came back in 2026. But I also wanted to make awareness of another guy that I recently bumped into, and I can't pronounce his name. His name is David Baumet. He's a former FBI agent who's been banned, and he had to create his account 4 times. He's a former FBI agent who's speaking out against what America's doing. And I told him to reach out to you through your DMs. And I just wanted to make awareness, because normally I wouldn't come into your space and ask for a mic. But
what's his name?
I feel like his name is David Baumet. I can't pronounce his name. Let me just spell it out for you. I have DM'd you it, Suleiman. I'm not
I'll
sure
be
if
honest with you. Like, I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm so famous, but I honestly do get like a lot of DMs, and I always miss most of them. And sometimes, when people send me links, I never open them because they always use it to hack people. So I never open any link because I'm just like, I don't want my account to be hacked. I know I sound a bit like whatever, but if you can just say the name, that would be great.
his name is David Baumblatt.
No,
BAU. So it's BAUMBLATT. BAUNBLATT. So it's M for mother.
Okay. David, I can see him now. He's got 1,200 followers, right? West Point and Farmer. Okay, cool. Let me follow. He is following me. Let me follow him back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've told him to touch base with you, and whenever he gets the chance, because I feel like he has some insight based on what the Americans trying to achieve. But to be honest, I feel like you already know what the United States and Israel is.
Yeah, but it's worth bringing him in to interview him. To be honest, so thanks for that. Appreciate it. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, man. It's just been a while. I missed you. I missed your space. I'm not too sure if you're back in Manchester.
I'm not from Manchester, bro. What you? I'm not from.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, sorry. Because I remember the conversation. I think one thing me and you have in common is that we have a love for chicken parmesan. So
that's Middlesbrough, not Manchester. Please no.
Okay,
do not take our local dish and sully it and dissoil it into into basically claiming that it's from the northwest when it is indeed from the northeast.
Oh, come on. No, because I also enjoy. I literally had a chicken parma like 2 days ago, and I thought of you as well.
I'm on a diet right now, so please don't tell me.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
Man went so fat over these 100 days that I thought, like, look, I need to shed some pounds. So don't tell me about no chicken parma. Oh my God, has Mossad sent you to kill my diet? Has Mossad sent you to try and make me fat again? Well, I already am still, but trying to drop some pounds. What is going on? But anyway, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Okay, we can continue the conversation.
Okay, so my last two thing is I'm glad you. So the first thing is I'm glad you and Simon are starting to now, post YouTube channels in 2026. So I am rooting for you guys. I am subscribed to both of your channels, and yeah, man, I'm glad to see your faces on YouTube. Also, I am connected with a third party who knows about the X algorithm. So in terms of visibility and how the algo operates, it's more about now engaging with your followers and your connections. Secondly, in terms of visibility, where people assume that they are shadow banned, when they're not really shadow banned, it's just a case of they're trying to now monetize your visibility by boosting your post, or and also you also get.
The thing is, I don't have that issue because my problem is that because I'm one of the biggest threats that they've got. I'm one of the few people whose blue check mark has been removed. I've been demonetized since 2024, so that I was, you've seen it. My habits never changed. But in terms of losing my blue check mark, that happened in 2024. And so as such, when I actually reply, people don't see it. So this is the problem that I've got, despite being one of the biggest accounts on X, despite having the biggest engagement, I'd say, over the last 3 years on X, the blue check mark has been taken away. And so people can't see that. But that's essentially how it works.
It can't be as bad as having an Android phone, because I'm on an Android phone and sometimes I get delayed notifications and I have to literally close the app refresh it and see if there has been any changes or any DMs I received. But yeah,
That's
no.
so bad. Yeah, having a delay is much worse than not having a blue check mark and being demonetized for sure. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, but bro, no, come on. What's worse is that I got banned in 2025 for 12 months. So, and I just came back recently in
Well, how many
2026.
followers did you have when you were banned?
So when I was banned, I had 500 followers, and then when I
Okay,
came
cool.
back,
Okay, no
I
problem.
kind of, because I
So if
don't have a
I've
fixed
got like an
niche.
account on Facebook, which has got like, I don't know, I just started recently, it's got like 8,000 followers. If that was to be banned, I wouldn't feel it as impactful as, for example, this is what's happened. But anyway, no problem. I get what you're saying. Let's go to Andy. Andy, thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Let's go to Andy. Go ahead, Andy, jump in, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely insane that our own government is admitting that our so called greatest ally is spying on us. And they're, of course, not doing anything about it because they're all compromised. And the fact that so many Americans are just asleep at the wheel when our own government's like, hey, yeah, it's an increased threat of them spying on us. And the fact that anyone can even consider this an ally, that's not what allies do. If Ukraine was spying on us, a lot of Americans would be freaking out and being like, what the heck? Why are these people spying on us? If Germany was spying on us or Japan or Britain, they'd be like, what the heck? Why are these British spying on us? Didn't we have a revolution about breaking away from them 250 years ago? But Israel's spying on us. People are like, yeah, Israel's spying on us. Who cares? Bomb those Muslims. It's just patently absurd that so many people just ignore this and just don't care. It's like they're just like hatred of Muslims just overrides their concern of our sovereignty being under attack. And then you obviously have just the brainwashing into supporting Israel no matter what evil they commit, whether it's genocide, spying on Americans, USS Liberty. They're just indoctrinated, and you still have people that support it. I'm not talking about the people here for the most part, but like it's literally being reported. It's so bad, even mainstream media is now reporting on it, like NBC, which obviously is not an anti-Zionist organization by any stretch of the imagination. And it's just really interesting to look back. Like today is obviously the anniversary of D-Day, and people stormed the beaches of Normandy to fight for freedom. And I cannot imagine that those soldiers would have wanted in America where they're being spied on. They fought for an America that is free and prosperous, not an America that is spied on. Like that, like think about it. We fought a whole Cold War after World War II because it was, hey, we for sovereignty against that. We fought, oh my, this whole thing like, oh, the communists, and that whole thing that was a lot of that was some of that was false pretenses, and it's just one psyop after another. And now that we have a lot of direct evidence of a country spying on us, a real threat of a country actually spying on us, people just don't seem to care. Like the average American cares more about what sporting event is on the TV than the fact that we're literally being spied on by the country that we're fighting a war for. It's just patently absurd. But people still think, oh no, the Muslims are the ones taking over. No, it's not Iran spying on us. It's not ISIS spying on us. It's not Al Qaeda spying on us. I mean, ISIS is obviously a horrible organization, but we all know who created on it. But they're not the ones spying on us. It's Israel spying on us. So people need to really wake up to this. And going back to the whole account thing, yeah, they took away your check mark because they know you're one of the biggest threats. Like, yeah, the people that have lost check marks, it's like you, it's Jake Shields because he speaks up about these issues. It's like Fuentes. You three are like some of the few that I can think of that have lost check marks. So because you three have spoken up really against the system a lot. So it's absolutely, yeah, it's ridiculous. They should not be taking check marks, and then you have people obviously like Zionists who can literally threaten people, and they can still get subscriptions despite literally threatening people. It's a complete double standard, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm not going to name names, but you know who I'm referring to. There's people who literally have threatened people and they still have accounts up. Like we're held to a completely different standard with how we have to behave And obviously, even if I was allowed to, I would never go on here and threaten anyone because I'm a good person and I don't believe in threatening violence. But it's just ridiculous. If you're too truthful, you lose your platform. And obviously, it's still better than some other things. I mean, just look what happened with TikTok, for example. Like, my cousin was telling me, like, after Larry Ellison took over on there, he couldn't even like he was having trouble finding stuff about Epstein on there. And then if he wanted to send something to multiple friends at once, he couldn't even do that, which he could before the new ownership. So, as flawed as X still is, it's still better than, I'd say, TikTok or Instagram. So, I mean, unfortunately, we still have to work inside of the flawed system to get the word out. There isn't a perfect platform. In an idealist world, we would want a perfect platform, but it just does not exist.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the case. Yeah, Joe, jump in.
Hey, Sully. I never realized that you thought when I say it's theater that I think that Iran is part of that theater. I don't think that. I
No, no,
think
that's not your position.
okay. Yeah,
Your
that's
position is distinctly different. Your
yeah.
position, though, although one thing is, and I know that's not the reason you say it, but your position has been kind of caught on by a number of Zionists.
Yeah,
So, for
it
example,
has.
Tim Pool was really in your position the other day, and I was listening to it. I was like, bro, I need to find out, like, I need to make sure I can counter this because, they've grabbed onto it. But I know that's not your perspective. I know you're not Zionist, but your position obviously is that Trump is doing this in order to kind of create a situation where there's some form of control over energy,
Hmm.
especially LNG, going into the next like decade or so.
Yeah, to be able to control the devaluation of the dollar and put in stable coins. But yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. But to talk about the thing that you're talking about with the Pentagon, um, I've
but to
been
be
going
clear,
down.
your position is different too, because I obviously I don't want to
It
mention it's not here,
is.
but like I think his position. But go ahead.
Yeah, it is different. Although there's some similarities, but that one we're definitely different on. I don't they do not think Iran is part of the theater at all. Um, yeah, I've been going down this thing. I mentioned yesterday a point that a lot of people aren't talking about, which was the investment by Don Jr. and Eric Trump, and especially Eric Trump when he put in half of his entire net worth into an Israeli drone company that benefits greatly from this merger of the IDF and the Pentagon. But there's more that I didn't know about that I've been looking into since last night. Apparently, there was a tungsten deal where the president of Kakistan reached out to Trump, said, "We're looking for an American company to explore one of our tungsten mines."
Which country was that again?
Kakistan,
Which one?
Kazakhstan,
Oh,
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so he reached out to Trump, saying that he's looking for an American company to explore one of their tungsten mines. Um, Eric and Don Jr. buy a tungsten mine, okay? And then they get the rights to go mine this thing in Kazakhstan. What's funding the Kazakhstan? $1.6 billion of US funds, basically taxpayer money, in order to support the mine who's going to go get this tungsten from Kazakhstan. Um, so that's another one, right? Then you have the one I've mentioned before too, which is the merger, $6 billion merger with Donald Trump Media, right, which is a publicly traded company, merged with a fusion company called TAE. And what I didn't realize is on the same exact day, Trump rolled out the Fusion Roadmap of America, giving them $1.9 billion to explore where they're going to build these fusion places. Again, no contest, no, not every nuclear fusion company can compete. It was directly given to TAE. So over and over and over, like these guys have been fleecing America like crazy. It's like America. It's like an America First clearance sale, basically. Um, and what I really don't get is that how is anyone still MAGA, right? Because when it came to Hunter Biden and Barista, right? Like I completely understood, don't like it, but I understood, right? Ukraine wanted to gain favor with the US, so they put the president's son on a board and he got paid X amount per year, right? Uh, Messed up, don't like it, that shouldn't be allowed. Um, but that was $5 million, okay? Um, and it didn't involve any US taxpayer money. These guys are literally building companies based on contracts they're getting internationally and then being given US taxpayer dollars to build out their companies, right? This is happening with the drone company. This is happening with the tungsten mine company. This is happening with the fusion company. It's absolutely insane to me how MAGA, who had such a problem with Hunter Biden, and they're completely hush on this. This isn't a problem, right? Um, it's like MAGA was, oh, we're going to stop the global elites from selling out our country. The reality is we're going to let the president's kids sell out our country, but it's cool because they're independent entrepreneurs. They're not the president. Like this is the mentality of MAGA-tard, right? And that's why I can't call these people intelligent. Like I really wish Manco was up here because I know he sometimes he criticizes Trump, which I don't really like his position of, oh, Iran has been able to subdue Trump. Da, da, da. I find that position really strange. Um, but he's not calling out what he's doing. He's not calling out that he is the biggest corrupt president we've had in our history. Um, he's taking more taxpayer dollars in order to build up his family's wealth than any president ever, right? And now he's about to in order to enrich his sons, he's going to allow Israel to have US data fused with their data on their servers, on their AI, um, which is a huge problem because even if you're on the opposite side and believe that Netanyahu has every right to do what he's doing, believe he's a good guy and he's an ally of America, even if you have that position, you don't know who the president is 20 years from now, right? You don't know when Israel becomes an enemy. We have a history of having allies who become enemies. You don't know that, right? This is a serious issue. And then when you have the Pentagon putting out information that we're on high alert for Israeli spies. That is the Pentagon trying to send a signal to the American people that this bill it should not be going through. There'd be no other reason for them to be putting this out on the same day that what was going to try to stop 224. And by the way, I don't think who's the guy that was Aguiar. I don't think Aguiar is correct about when this goes to Congress because I looked into after what he said that, oh, now it's done. There's no stopping it. It has to go through. There's no amending it. From what I've seen from AIs, there is once it gets to Congress, they're allowed to say we vote for this, but not for 224. They're allowed to submit amendments.
Do you think he's talking about specifically you're not able to amend 224 element within Congress can't? So maybe later it can, but within the congressional element it can't.
Congress is allowed to vote from what I've seen, okay? Because I'm not an expert on this. It's just my own
Doc,
research.
yeah.
And if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. From what I've seen from AI, Congress is allowed to vote in the bill, and they're not allowed to amend what's in there, but they are allowed to vote on sections that get taken out, right? So they are
Well,
allowed to
even now.
say, yeah, even now, they're allowed to
okay.
say we approve this, but not with 224. Right. That's what my research was showing, and I could be wrong. If I'm wrong,
So
please
this
tell
is
me.
just to be clear, Joe, and by the way, I don't know, so if we can get someone like Doc up, he might be able to elaborate and illuminate. But
Yeah, Doc would be better for sure on this.
yeah. But the question, because I believe it's going to Congress on Tuesday to Friday, right? Is what
Yeah, all this
Anthony.
week.
Yeah, because Anthony said it's that's the reason he's going to. We've got him on tonight as well, by the way, again. But So he said on Tuesday to Friday it's going to Congress. You're saying when it's in Congress, they can still vote for certain bits to be removed, so including Section 224, right?
Yeah, they're not allowed to change anything that's in there, but they're allowed to approve or disapprove certain parts of it. That's what 3 different AIs told me, but AI is not always right. But I just find it weird because he's right in the fact that this does have to be approved. The defense bill needs to be approved. But I find it difficult that it needs to be approved and go to Congress, and Congress isn't allowed to say anything about it. That would be very strange. And that's why I decided to look into it, because it just didn't make logical sense to me.
Yeah, interesting. I have sent Doc the link. Let's see if he can get up and we can ask him that element of it for
Yeah,
sure.
it's important because look, this really is like America being sold out in order to enrich the country. Like it's in order to enrich his sons. And people try to play it off. I've been on spaces where people play it off and say, "Oh, I work for the Pentagon," and you know, blah blah blah. This is not how it works. It's just a joint venture. No, it's not just a joint venture. And I work in AI. AI is not like a database. Yes, we share a database with the Five Eyes, I think they're called, about crime and things like that and intelligence. But a database, you're allowed to shut off and turn on access to people about certain data. You cannot do that with AI. AI is a black box. You do not control the data. Once you teach it, it's taught, it speaks. And that's what the problem is here.
Yeah, totally agree with you. No, I agree with you. It's major. It's major. This is why we've done so many shows on it and so many interviews on it. It is huge and it is problematic. And also, in addition to that, Joa, if you add the bit that came today, which is from the Pentagon, which we know, the fact that they could come out and say this about Israel after the levers of control that they have says a lot. And they've confirmed that Israel is spying on America, and it means not in the normal sense, in a extremely high level sense. And they've moved the warning about Israel's spying of America, including Trump and key Trump administration officials, to the highest critical level.
Yeah, and and I know, and a lot of people in here know that there's zero chance that went through Donald Trump. That press release, right? Zero. That to me is the Pentagon screaming for help from people. Do not let this go through. Because why else would they release that PR when they did?
Great point.
Right?
Totally agree with that. Yeah, totally agree with that. Highly concerning the route that America is going now due to the control that the of Israelis have of them, for sure. Let's bring who's this who came before? Actually, I can't remember the order of who was on the space already. I just can't remember. I don't want
Emergent came
Emergent. I
up
was
first.
thinking so. Yeah, go ahead. Emergent, jump in.
No, I'm just trying to hold on to the signal. I appreciate you letting me up, man. Interesting conversation. I've been trying to step back, work on personal stuff, but yeah, it might be time to start getting a little proactive with you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let's go to who was next? I can't remember. Was it Occult? I think Occult was next. Go ahead, Occult.
Ocular art, I think, is what you mean, Solomon.
Yeah, Ocular. Breaking news, by the way, there is a mass shooting alert. Multiple people have been shot near the All West End Festival. Sorry, I'm not laughing about the shooting. I'm just laughing at Joe's correction, but obviously it comes across really bad. But multiple people have been shot near the All West End Festival in Toledo, Ohio. Police responded at 5:37 to Delaware and Glenwood and found several victims. Many are now hospitalized. A search for the suspect or suspects is underway right now. Guys, make sure you retweet the space, reshare the space, let everybody know we're live. Let's try and get as many people in here as possible. Lots to speak about. Okay, let's go to Prashant. Prashant, thanks for coming. Hope you're doing well. Give us your thoughts. Prashant? Okay, cool. Let's go to Zina. Zina, jump in. Give us your thoughts.
Thanks. Just for Joa, there was Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie did introduce a bill on the House. I think it was 2 days ago, maybe it was Wednesday, to strike 224 from the NDAA. That vote already took place, and it passed overwhelmingly. There was only 5 people that voted in favor of striking that clause from the NDAA. But I've been trying to also call attention to something else that is happening simultaneously.
Just on that, Zina, just a question, and then do tell us about the other thing you want to say as well. From my understanding, it was the House Armed Service Command that voted for it to be passed. Is that right?
Correct.
And does that now mean? Are you saying that now that means that it is basically because they failed to strike it off? Now it's definitely can't be removed from the bill. Is that right?
Yeah. So Aguilar was on a TikTok live, so I was able to ask him some more detailed questions last night after the space ended, and he said it's now a fait accompli. Like 224 is a permanent embedment into the NDA because this vote has failed, was my understanding of it. So that was a little disheartening.
Joel, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just seeing like I said, I'm not an expert, but every AI you ask, it says that Congress is allowed to make amendments. So the fact that it was at the House is different than now where it's going. Like, correct?
Yeah. So
Like it passed the Senate, but now it needs to go to Congress.
yeah, but I at least from how Anthony, maybe we should clarify this when he comes on this evening, but to strike a clause from the NDAA, it has to go through the committee. But that's how at least Anthony, because I kept asking him this question last night, and he was very adamant in that it is now a fait accompli, that 224 is a permanent embedment of the NDAA as it will be voted on. But I guess it's worth following up with him again. But that was my understanding of it from him last night.
Yeah, mine as well. I'm just pushing back on what he said because it just seems strange that Congress basically, in this scenario, Congress basically, in what he said, Congress gets no say whatsoever because they need to pass the NDAA. That I agree. They do need to pass the defense bill. The fact that they're not allowed to, they just have to take whatever's in there makes zero sense to me. And that's why I started looking around. And from what I saw, they do get a say. And that's kind of what would make sense also, right? It would be weird that Congress isn't allowed to say anything. They just got to sign it.
I mean, this does go through a series of votes. And if it doesn't pass, it would, from my understanding, is it would go back then to committee for revision and back, but it eventually will have to pass. It can't fail. It may go back and forth between committee and the floor several times, but ultimately it has to pass. There is no world in which the NDAA, because that's what funds the defense will not pass. But I
Israel has
guess
essentially conquered America.
I'm sorry?
I was just adding, Israel has essentially conquered America.
Correct. And there's something else that's really important that because we were talking about this Pentagon revelation thing, something that's also happening concurrently in the Senate, which is that there is also a bill on the Senate side, which is separate and apart from the NDAA, which is the Intelligence Authorization Act, and it was something that I tagged a few people hoping to get somebody to kind of bring some more attention to it. And Suleiman, I did put it in a super chat last night when you had Anthony on. I was hoping you'd be able to ask him, but with all the chaos, I'm
What's
sure.
the question? I'll ask him today. Apologies, I didn't see that. I'll be honest with you. Yesterday, I was so spaced out. Like I was exhausted by the end of it. I sometimes do forget the super chats on that show. What was the question again? And I'll ask him today.
So there's a separate bill coming through the Senate that was introduced by Tom Cotton, which is the Intelligence Authorization Act. I put the details of it in the comments of this space, but it's essentially an intelligence sharing commitment between the U.S. and Israel, and it goes through a whole litany of what that intelligence sharing would be, and also the limitations on Congress to conceal information that would be shared. So it's basically a carte blanche for intelligence sharing with Israel. And I wanted to know, one, this is very alarming because it's happening on multiple fronts. It's happening in the NDAA, but it's also happening on the Senate side. And given how out of touch our Congress is with, reality and with the population, that this might just slide through unnoticed, that I'd wanted to raise a flag. But also, given that we've seen the likes of like Palantir is now in, I think, 20 or 21 different federal agencies. There were the data breaches that came through, with Doge. There's all this stuff going on. How much civilian information might be used, especially that anti-terrorism and all these new definitions of domestic terrorism and all that were coming through, how that might be weaponized against American citizens as well. So I just wanted to put it on your radar, and if you can, maybe ask him a bit more about it when you have the opportunity. And I understand about last night, it was crazy. I thought there was a minuscule chance that you would see it, but I
We've got
completely understand.
I've got it, and actually, I'm glad you asked today because we've got Larry Johnson on first, and obviously he's CIA and intelligence, and this is definitely under the intelligence apparatus. And he was making some points about it yesterday as well about how it actually works. So we'll get into the kind of little bit more of the weeds with him and the intricacies of how it works. But you're talking about, just to be clear, the FY27 Intel authorization bill that's in the Senate, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. I've got that down, and I'll definitely ask both of them. What's your thoughts on that, George? This is an additional bill to the other bill, which is the NDA Section 224.
Yeah, I mean, look, this one doesn't worry me as much because they already have this with the Five Eyes. They're just trying to include Israel with the Five Eyes. And we already know that
And having a
information.
quick read of what Zina sent, any country that joins the Abraham Accords as well, right?
I didn't know that, but it would make sense. It's just shared intelligence, and shared intelligence is just a database of what U.S. decides to share. They don't actually share everything. Just like other countries we have the same agreement with don't share everything. It is on a need to know basis type of thing. So that one, from my understanding, isn't as big of an issue as this data fusion and network integration, as they put it for Section 224. But I would confirm it with them because they're going to know better. But from my understanding, it's just like the Five Eyes, which is just intel sharing.
Cool. Anything you want to add on that, Zena? And then we'll go to overtime.
No, I mean, I'm curious to hear what Larry Johnson would hear. Thank you so much for entertaining my question.
Thanks for coming on and contributing. Great thoughts and great points as well. Very interesting indeed. And we always appreciate people who highlight things that maybe some of us have missed. And I think it's really important to do so. We are the moral resistance. We are the best community, and sometimes not all of us can see everything. So actually, I do really appreciate a lot that you brought something up to like that to our attention. Very important indeed. Let's go to overtime. Overtime, jump in, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Suleiman. Massive shout out to Suleiman. Even on the weekends, you're still crushing it, covering the live news and the topics. The Pentagon confirming Israel has been spying on America. Like should be massively concerning to everyone tuned in right now, to every American right now. Even with this new bill that Joa and Zena were talking about, should be massively concerned right now. I think like a few spaces ago, I said it's probably going to be over for us soon. And a lot of people are overlooking that. A lot of people are thinking it's not over for us yet. We're still gonna, come back and stuff. I think if we don't take a final stand here and stop this, and I don't really see enough like effort. I don't see a real outrage towards these politicians who sign these bills. I think that's the biggest problem. These politicians, these APAC paid slave politicians that nobody knows. They sign these bills away left and right, and nobody holds them to account. Like nobody really holds them to the account that we're supposed to hold them to. Like we're supposed to be thousands of people outraging, thousands of people, protesting, thousands of people in front of these people's faces every single day. Like what we're seeing in Albania right now, which Israel's trying to do another settlement out there. It's crazy. So I'm glad that this news is coming out about the Pentagon confirming that Israel's spying on America. They're especially spying right now because they want this act to go fully through with nobody intervening. Because they know that once they get this to fully pass through with nobody intervening, nobody stepping in to stop this, and it just getting signed away, and everyday Americans going about their everyday normal lives without really stopping and without really holding these politicians account, then we're going to see Israel take absolute full control. They've already pretty much had 90% control of this country. We're about to see probably closer to 100% after this. The fact that they want to get like this tie-in with the Pentagon is because the biggest reason, guys, is because they don't want to tell you how billions of more dollars of your tax dollars are about to get sent to Israel, and it's not going to be as public as it is now. Because once they get this act to pass through, this fake bill, this treasonous bill, literally every single politician who signed this bill should be locked up for treason. But the reason why Israel wants to push this through and on a massive scale is because it's realizing, one of the biggest arguments that everyone has against it, especially now that the economy is crumbling, it's cratering. This job reports that came out the other day
Whoa,
say,
overtime. Can we just have a bit of can we just speak with some care with our words? There are people suffering right now, like my good friend Joa, who I give an air digital hug to. People suffering right now from hardship and tough times as Bitcoin continues to crash. Let's be careful with our words, but do continue.
and that's a thing.
Well,
Whatever
I'm at
happened,
break even. I'm at break
that's
even. I'm not
kind of
suffering, but
funny
there
you
are
said
people
that,
suffering though.
Suleiman. That's kind of funny you say that, Suleiman, because we've been calling the crash for months, and the people were telling us keep buying the dips, but it just doesn't stop dipping,
It's at the same. It's at the same price when they said to buy it. There's no
No,
crash
no,
yet.
not. I'm not saying you specifically, Joa, but we did have a lot of Bitcoiner guys here when it was like 90K, 120K, and I said this thing's gonna crash, especially if we go to war with Iran. And nobody listened to me. Everyone's, oh no, it's still gonna hit 150, 200K. Like,
I
bro,
mean,
if we
I
go to
wouldn't.
war. Like this
I
shit
wouldn't
is going
necessarily
nowhere.
call it a
Let me tell
crash.
you guys. Let me tell you guys this. If this genocidal warfare continues, the whole market is going to zero, man. Because everyone's gonna take their money out. Everything's getting unaffordable because of Israel. Because the reason why these interest rates are even high like this in the first place, and inflation's high like this in the first place, is because of Israel. So like what we're gonna see now, and this is the biggest reason why Israel wants to like tie itself into the Pentagon, is so while everything's cratering, everything's collapsing, we can't point to the main reason why anymore. We can't say it's because look at what Israel's doing, taking billions of tax dollars. No, now that they're part of the Pentagon, they could just take these billions of dollars away under the guise that it's for America's research or America's intel or America's AI, when it's really for Israel's AI, Israel's future. So what they're doing here is this is what they're doing. They're trying to like privatize even further our tax dollars. Where do our tax dollars go? And if we can't hold these politicians, we can't hold the system to account. They're just going to keep using our money to kill us off, and then they could care less about these markets. These markets will recover whenever they want it to recover. But they don't care to recover it right now because they care to put Israel first. So, but right now, what we're seeing, especially with Bitcoin, Bitcoin, I think they said they seized like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin from Iran. That was a terrible look. And that's also why crypto's collapsing, because crypto has slowly, and especially Bitcoin, is slowly losing its identity. Which its first initial identity was to get people off the system, and now it's like literally on the system. Like we just saw, literally they take $1 billion worth of Bitcoin from Iran. Like what kind of bullcrap is that? And then on top of it, so I think I'm not saying
Was
all this to
that
say,
Bitcoin? I thought
I wouldn't
they.
necessarily disagree with everything you're saying, but I mean, I wouldn't
yeah,
necessarily
I
call this a
thought it was
crash either.
stables. I thought it was stables that they took.
I
Was it
think I
Bitcoin?
think it was I think it was Bitcoin. I thought
Oh,
I
was it?
thought
I thought it was stables. If
It
someone
was
can
Yeah, I
start.
thought it was
stable.
Stables.
It was stables. You can't
okay, then I
take
take that back.
Bitcoin.
Either way though, right? And I still have a long-term good view on Bitcoin. Like when it completely dives, I'll be buying that dip. So it's not to say that it's a bad thing, right? But it's to say that
Why would
when
you
you
say
guys
that after
don't
everything
address
you
this
said, bro?
problem. Sorry, what was that?
So you said that after everything you said.
Yeah, like that's the thing about me. Like I'm real with the
It's so
market. So
evil.
once
It's
it gets
so
to a point,
bad. They still got control of it, but man's still gonna buy it.
facts. You get it's like that saying, when you can't beat these genociders, like you gotta beat them to it, and the way that you beat them to it is the same thing they do. They buy all these assets up, they control the markets, and the only way to keep up with them is to keep following along. Buy that dip when it goes to 30K. If it hits 30K, that's where I'm gonna start. But like the thing is, like, this is all
Joe.
happening because of Israel. Like it wouldn't even be happening right now. It wouldn't be even going to the 60K right now. It probably would have held 100K. But it's gonna keep cratering because of this genocidal warfare. And the problem with the Bitcoin community is they're too scary to call it out. That's why we have these massive craters, and the crypto just fails to stabilize because they're too scared to call the genociders out, man. That's their one biggest weakness. If they called out Israel for what they're doing, Bitcoin wouldn't be collapsing the way it is. But people are now scared of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, it's not there. They're thinking, some people are even calling it the Epstein coin now, so it has a long way to go. Israel's even destroyed Bitcoin. It's destroyed the markets. It's destroying America. It's literally destroying everything.
I
And
mean, I
the
wouldn't
longer
call this a
that
crash
people
though, right?
no, this is definitely a crash from 120K
Uh,
to 60K. It's definitely a crash. If you shorted this and you were cashing out, look, I shorted in 2020 the market when the S&P crashed like 20% in March. That was a crash. I cashed out. So this is the kind of crash that you could cash out on. That if you were on the other side, but a lot of people aren't on the other side. Israel and their fellow friends are though. We see genocider Donald Trump do that with his son, where he tells everyone, okay, we're gonna go to war tomorrow, guys. So make sure you short the market, and then they short. Okay, we're gonna call off the war in a week from now, and everybody long the market. These people are absolute criminals, man. And if people don't stand up and start boycotting on a massive scale, that's the number one step. The boycotting. Everyone's like, oh, we tried that before. No, you haven't. I still see people pulling up to McDonald's, Starbucks. I still see people looking fat as hell because they're eating from these places, and they're too scared to give up the burgers, give up the Coca-Cola, even these Gulf states, and I visited some of them over the last summer, and I saw some Middle Eastern people eating at these
Disavow,
places, you
disavow,
know.
disavow.
And now they got the
What are you
missiles
doing in the
flying
Gulf
above their
states,
head.
bro? What's wrong with you?
Now this was like, guys,
Leave
I'm
Dubai
exposing myself,
now.
guys. I was at the WEF event with Joa, but no, on a
Oh
serious note.
my God, Joe, is this what you're doing? You're getting people from our space to go to the WEF.
I was like, damn it, man, these billions are just calling my name.
You really think you think they'd let Mofid in the WFMN?
No, bro. Yeah. You
You know,
didn't-
I could barely get in a Twitter space.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Oh
Okay.
man.
I love it. I love it. Okay, let's bring in what do you call it again? White into the conversation. Go ahead, jump in.
I mean, I've been a little bit busy right here. If you could just refresh me up a little bit on what you guys have been discussing. I know you guys have been discussing Iran and the market. He was just talking about Bitcoin. I honestly don't think that uh, the I don't think that we can look at necessarily like all the bad. We got to look at some of the good. It's a very exciting time we live in. You know, it's a, a
What's the
lot is
most what's the thing that excites you the most?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a good excitement, but it's definitely
Okay.
exciting regardless. I mean,
Um,
has there been any time in the past 20 years when we've been able to look at this really be like on our toes, with the
I don't
news?
know in
And
what aspect. If you're talking about America and Israel going to war, yeah, I've seen it many a times. So what you
yeah, I mean, well, yeah,
what you're
you're right.
referring to that's unique and it's getting you so excited right now, that was it's getting you so excited. Like tell us,
Well,
bro,
I think
elaborate.
that with this much shit going down the drain in the gutter, I think that people are waking up on a massive scale, that we've never seen before, and that'll lead to at least some political change that is it's good in the long term. I don't know if it's going to be in the next even 10, 15 years even, but 30, 40 years down the road, we could be looking at something major, you know.
Has to happen faster though, man. Like the problem is like, yeah, that is one of the good things,
Sadly,
but it's
I
not
wish
fast
it
enough,
would.
man. Like look at the space, for example, right? We got 700 people in here, but only like 120 reposts, and like people think like like this itself is like proof of that there's not the real effort here to get the truth out. There has to be more of an effort too. Like I feel like the awakening's already happened and a lot of people are awake, but they're either not doing anything because they think it doesn't concern them, it's not going to affect them, which is crazy to me. Because like, look at the gas station prices. Look at the prices overall
What's
when
the
you go to
truth
the
again?
grocery store. Like
What's the
Yeah,
people need to
truth?
wake up.
yeah, you're right. I mean, people want to avoid looking at the truth as much as possible. They just want to live in their own little reality, their own little bubble. You can go to different parts of the country. It seems like nothing's changed.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
And
What's the
those
truth again? Can you tell me what the truth is again? I missed it.
the truth. I mean, I guess the truth would be what's going on with our government, or Israel occupying our government.
So who's Israel?
Who's Israel?
Yeah, that's what I asked. Who's Israel?
I mean,
You guys are talking about
APAC, different.
no. Well, like over time in yourself, you guys are saying everyone's hearing the truth. I want to know the truth. I want to know who is Israel, though.
Well,
Can you?
Arts John say everyone's saying it. Say white saying it. Can we be
No,
specific?
no.
Because
I said
everyone's
white and overtime. White and overtime. I didn't say
yeah,
every.
because everyone's got different opinions on this space. But go ahead, continue. Answer Art's question, please.
Okay, I could answer it. Yeah, Israel's the genocidal entity that has full control over most of the world and especially over America, Arts. And that's what
Who's
it is.
that?
And
Can you?
everyone
No,
knows the
no, no.
truth now. Everybody sees it, especially after the last Thomas Massey election event. I see even now the average content creators commenting on that now on YouTube. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
So
everyone's starting to see the truth that the genocide rail, that's what I call it. It shouldn't be called Israel anymore. It's genocide rail. That those genociders have full control and the Epstein filers too. People seen the Epstein files come out, no arrests, nobody in jail. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to a lot of people, and a lot of people are seeing that truth. But I think it's time to step up now. The awakening's happening. We need to
you know,
step up. We need to boycott the genocider rats.
yeah, I listened to you talk. I'm not disagreeing with everything you're saying, but I want you just to define to me because you're talking about the truth. So, if we're talking about revealing the truth, then we have to have people to hold accountable. So, can you just give me some names?
Netanyahu Milikowski would be the start. And then that whole cabinet, along with Netanyahu Milikowski, then genocider Joe Biden, along with his entire administration as well. especially those
look
who
at the
voted for those
Adelsons.
bills. Those who voted for those APEC made bills, I think all of them, we could start there as well. We could start with Donald Trump's, genocider Trump's current government. We could even go back to Obama's government with, when he was also bombing Gaza in 2008. That's how far this goes. People think it started in 2023, October 7th, but there's a long laundry list, and a lot of it has to deal with the governmental entities that run these genocider entities, such as Israel, and unfortunately the U.S. now. They turned it into a tool of genociding people worldwide. And that's why America's going broke now. They're not willing to admit it. They come out with fake unemployment numbers, and they always take these numbers back. They always say, guys, we gained 900,000 jobs, and now we have to revise it 5 months later, guys. Actually, we didn't gain 900,000 jobs, or this time around, it's part-time gigs, guys. Now we're getting part-time jobs. It's absolute bullcrap. And this is the enemies that we're up against. We're up against these enemies, these media entities, these government entities that continuously lie, and they're best represented by Israel and the current U.S. government and pretty much all the past administrations ever since JFK.
The problem being is we're still speaking in generalities, and I'm not disagreeing with some of the things you're saying, but I guess what I'm trying to point out is that we are powerless. And I know spaces like this keep us informed, and we have a lot more knowledge than the average person or the boomer that watches Fox or CNN. But what I think you need to realize is that we still speak in generalities, and you're talking about different past administrations or even current that are just Manchurian candidates, most likely. I'm not saying some of them aren't involved. I probably believe that Trump somehow has his finger in the pie, but we are not able to pinpoint who the people are. We could talk about affiliated families from the past and Larry Fink from BlackRock and certain people ahead of these big
But Art,
organizations.
how can you not point to who it is? Kushner is being funded by Saudi Arabia, making deals with Israel. Someone whose leader he used to share a bunk bed with when he came to America. You have him married to Ivanka, who's buying an island using Saudi and Qatari money. You have Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump investing in a tungsten mine, a tungsten company in America after after Donald Trump got a request from Pakistan to invite American companies to come explore this mine. They're given the contract and given $1.6 billion in taxpayer money in order to finance this exploration of the tungsten, which they'll benefit from. You have Eric Trump just in February, when this whole Section 224 thing seems like it started, investing in Xtend, XTEND, which is an Israeli drone company, which is the biggest benefactor of this deal on Section 224. Then you have Donald Trump Media merging with TAE Nuclear Fusion Technologies, a social media company merging with a nuclear company on the same day that the Trump Fusion Roadmap is released about how important it is for America to invest in fusion, and that company gets besides the $6 billion merger that it got. It also got $1.9 billion in funding from the U.S. to go explore land on where to build, which is either in Alabama or Texas. And we're doing all this on top of the fact that in order to go help his sons enrich them, he's going to fuse create data fusion and nuclear and network integration with Israel when the Pentagon is screaming out for help, saying, "Hey, we've never been more spied on by Israel than in this current moment," right? So if you want to point at the people, here you go. You have the entire Trump family, along with Netanyahu, that's very, very involved, that you have plenty of people to point at, including people in the Epstein files. Okay.
Yeah, no,
People like the ex prime ministers of Israel, which invested in surveillance technology on Americans, right, through Peter Thiel and Epstein. So we have tons of names.
Look at the
We're not
Ellisons as
speaking
well.
in generalities.
no. What I'm saying is there was a lot of discussion about how Israel is doing this to America. So I guess the thing is or it's all to benefit Israel. I would just argue that I don't think that Israel as far as their citizens are benefiting from it. I think that that is the narrative. I think that there are the elite at the top, including especially the likes of Donald Trump, that are the ones benefiting. And that's the scary thing, Jonah, is when you have the one thing you left out about Trump, and I saw it recently, was that whole thing about the gold phones that they had pushed during the election.
Question on that. So I do hear a lot of Zionists making this argument. What do the citizens of Israel want?
They got it though, Solomon. They got free land, free houses, free education, free health.
True. What do they
on
want?
American
What
dollar.
do
What do you mean they don't get anything? Of course they
Who
do.
said? Yeah, no, they do. I know. I'm disagreeing with Art. I agree with you, Joe. But I think they want more. So in addition to what Joe is saying, unless you don't agree that they don't want that stuff, what else do they want, Art?
Well,
first of all, do you accept that they want what Joe said, and then and then we'll go to the even. My point was going to be added onto that. I was just assuming that you would accept that, but do you accept that from Joe's perspective? Go ahead.
I don't believe that. First of all, I can't speak for every Israeli, just like I couldn't speak for every Canadian or American. What people want and people's set of moral values, I would never lump them all together. And I don't think that the average
you can lump together those Israelis that are in Israel right now. Those in total, that's not their land. They've gone there and stolen the land. So you can lump them and in that aspect together. That's like saying I don't lump the entire there's an army of 1 million people that murder, like say 10 million people. I don't lump each one's an individual thinker. I mean, they're look, you're all million that murdered, right? So when it comes to the entire Israeli society, they've gone to a land, they've taken over a land, they've occupied a land, they've stolen the land, they live in a state that's supremacist. So as a lumped up group, as per these points that we're saying, and as Joe said, that and the fact that you're not accepting this just demonstrates your position is very Zionist position. And actually, this is why I'm understanding now a lot of the points that them as a lump sum have got what they want. What they tell me how they don't benefit when they continue to live on stolen land, they continue to be able to steal more land, they continue to occupy the land, they continue to get support in ethnically cleansing the original people of that land, and then they continue to get expansion of that land as per what they believe is either the divine right, the biblical right, or the individual right.
No, Solomon, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. And trust me, I am not trying to defend Israeli people, especially Israeli people that should be educating themselves to what's actually happening. The one thing I'm trying to say is that if we fixate on the citizens of any country, including Israel, we don't get to the root of the problem, because Israeli citizens aren't the ones that.
Your point was, Alkat, you said, how do they benefit? We've given you multiple benefits that they get.
But again, I don't think they benefit like perhaps that we're suggesting here. It's like saying that the U.S. is going to benefit from invading Venezuela because now we're getting their oil.
You're moving the goalposts, though.
The average citizen. If I can finish speaking, I don't interrupt anyone else when they talk, so I appreciate not being interrupted.
You do actually interrupt people, but it's fine, no problem. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that I couldn't agree more with the points that there are problems with elites making these decisions, and it looks to me like they're coming predominantly from Israel and the U.S. At least that's where their bases are.
Again, this is a false equivalence, Arcats, and I'll explain to you why it's a false equivalence. So when United States of America steals the oil of Venezuela, the people who largely benefit are the corporations, are the government, are those in power. When Israel steals land and then, as an example, gives it to Arcats is benefiting. You are actually benefiting from that land. And not only that, you're benefiting from one of the main reasons you're actually benefiting from the main reason of stealing this land. So I just want to be clear on this, because I've heard this by many of these people.
We stand the argument a little bit. We say,
I just want to say that.
Yeah, sorry.
People make. I've started to see many people who kind of put themselves as anti-Zionist. I'm not talking about you here, Katz. And they've gained a bit of a following now. Who are like, oh, the Israeli people don't benefit. Of course they benefit. This equivalence to the United States of America is fraudulent. in reality, the Israeli people as an individual people benefit exponentially from Israel. They get in the free healthcare, they get free living in society, they get free. They're basically stealing someone else's land to make the claim that, okay, when America invades Venezuela and basically the corporations benefit is equivalent is not true. There's no benefit from the stealing of Venezuelan oil from Americans at the moment. Maybe
That
there
was my
will
But
be
point.
some
Suleiman,
smaller
Yeah,
benefit later in the future.
a way
you
you
don't
can
know
think
how much
about
of
it is
Israel
like
even left.
a way you can think about it is like, so if Israeli citizens didn't benefit from what's going on at all, if you were to say that the United States is cutting off aid to Israel, you know, with the snap of your fingers, do you think the Israeli citizens would be happy about that, or do you think they would just be okay? Like, okay, it's fine, let that
Well,
happen.
I think if they were to close the aid, I don't think they care about that as much as they care about other elements, which is, for example, the military
Not you,
financial money that is being spent on
yeah,
them. So, for
that's what I'm
example,
talking about. I'm not just talking about like basic aid,
yeah,
like
exactly.
that's
So, if you're
given in
talking about in
packages.
total, everything the United States spends on Israel, which is probably, I'm talking like hundreds of billions a year on them, especially the
Hmm.
last 2 years. In the last 2 years, it's probably been $500 billion. And you may think, oh, Suleiman, how do you get to $500 billion? Well, you take this war, you take the 12-day war, you take all of these, you take the extra stipends given by Biden, the stipends given by Trump. And by the way, I don't see any difference between Biden and Trump. This is why when that girl was defending Biden yesterday, I was like, this is stupid. They
Well, my
both,
point is to support
yeah.
your argument against
No, I
his.
know
I
you
mean,
agree with
really,
it. I agree with it.
yeah.
I know you agree with it. I was just adding to your point. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way that they would agree with that, because you know it would obviously not benefit them in any way whatsoever.
For
So
real.
why would they? Well, how does that
Well,
not?
as soon as you finish, let Arts respond to you. But go ahead. I'm just gonna be
He can
2 minutes.
respond. Actually,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Go ahead.
I made my point.
Go ahead, Arts.
So again, I'm not disagreeing with Solomon that there are some benefits to Israeli citizens, but I guess what I'm trying to just say is that if we want to stop the lawlessness from happening, we have to get to the source. And the predominant beneficiaries from this are the elites. And those are the people that are making the decisions. So, you know, and again, I don't believe it's a case of Israel is controlling the US or the US is controlling Israel. I believe this is a group of elites that are not loyal to any country. They could care less if they're affiliated with the US or Israel. They are above it all, and they are more about the global world order. And so they present a narrative like their sovereignty or their loyalties to one country, so that creates populism and gives someone to get a group of people to get angry at. But at the end of the day, I mean, just like we're talking about how Congress seems to be doing nothing, of course not. They are all compromised because money buys them all. So when it comes down to is, and again, it really blows my mind when I see people that they don't understand that Donald Trump is all of his actions since being in power are nothing to the benefit of the U.S. citizens. People think things like tariffs are good for the U.S. or that he's trying to further that economy is crazy, and it just lends itself more to the fact that there are global elites that are using these central banks like piggy banks. They're running up military budgets so that they can siphon that money. And where is it all going? It's going to either big corporations, military contracts, or directly into the pockets of these elites. And that's all they're doing is they're running the piggy bank dry. And it's not just the US, it's Canada, it's Israel, it's other countries. So I don't really think there's that strong ties. And I think they use the theological narrative to make people think even more that they're these elite because they think they're God's sovereign people because the Bible said so, the Old Testament says so, and it creates even more anger and populism. But I at the end of the day, I think that the true elites at the top, they're not loyal to any specific country or even religion.
Well, two things can be true at the same time. To just write a pass because the global elites are in charge at the end of the day, to give a pass to those corrupt politicians to those aligned with those corrupt politicians in our country that form NGOs and charities where billions of dollars were siphoned off and recycled back up to the elite. To give those people a pass, or to give Israel's influence through AIPAC and other funds donated to politicians pursuing their policy, is a Zionist trope, in my opinion. Both things are true.
Suleiman, can I jump in here for a moment?
Yeah, of
I
course
want
you
to make
can.
a
And then we
point.
got. By the way, I'm away from the phone. If you say anything crazy, then I wasn't listening.
All right. So I want to make a point that I haven't heard many people make, and this goes both ways, but it is some good news as far as Israel goes. It's that we haven't really seen that much footage, have we? Like the satellites are blocked. There's like these are the type of people. I am one of them. I grew up with them. I converted, if you could see, but they're the type of people to record footage before and use green screens and stuff like that. Israel could be destroyed for all that we know. And that means, like, as long as we can get the Jews to turn against Israel, like that's all that happens because they took away their homeland. Like we haven't seen that much real footage.
Awakening, I've said this several times in this space. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. And I think this is all how they control the narrative and they propagandize and pit us all against each other. It's no different than Russia and Ukraine. Everybody in this world has a cell phone. Yet, and there's wars going all over the place. And I'm not saying we don't see some of it in the media, but it's relatively nothing compared to the fact that there's millions of people.
That's my point. There's a block on it. There's a block on it. They're like blocking it internally, I would assume.
Because the elites that are controlling the media,
yeah, of course.
They're
But there's an
controlling
80-year
the
curse that they
narrative.
believe in. There's an 80-year curse that the Israelis believe in. So it's like year 78 that they're worried about. Like Israel's probably destroyed. Like we haven't seen footage. Like what does that mean about, like, it's been a lot of talking, a lot of like war gaming it out, but like where's the actual footage? There's no public satellite where you can view it.
Again, it was no different with the Ukraine and Russian war. We get all kinds of stories saying that there's all these Russians dying, that they're winning the war, then the next day Ukraine's winning the war, and vice versa. It's all to control the narrative. They don't allow any footage. It's no different than Iran. Oh, there's they no internet there as well. We don't get the scoop from anywhere. And again, there's a war.
I'm not talking about the narrative or the scoop. I'm talking about the truth, not like what's being said about the situation. What is the actual situation?
That's what I'm saying. To prevent the truth, they do media blackouts, they do internet blackouts, so that the only things that we see are what they give to us. I mean, this is true about everything in this world. And I hate to say this, but I listen to different media sources, and I can tell you that the same narrative and the same people, like even in spaces like this, I'm not saying all one side. Okay, I think
how many monuments are destroyed? Like if there's this many missiles, Israel's a small place. It's smaller than Ukraine. It's microscopic, right? So all of the missiles are consolidated into like one area. There's less like diversion, right? Like they're all consolidated, right? How many monuments are left? We haven't heard anything. Like so much is probably destroyed and we don't know anything about it. So it's like, what's the truth behind it all is what I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question, Doc? Can I ask you a question, Doc? Just to something different subject. Doc, can 224 still be amended? Do you know?
Say that again.
Section 224.
So just give the whole background, Joe. So, Doc, the reason we asked you to come up was because basically Doc, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The reason I asked you to come is because basically Section 224 of the NDAA, there was an attempt to amend it. Apparently, it was at the House Armed Service Committee upheld the vote, as in it would not be removed. And so, for example, Anthony Aguilar and various others are going to Congress, and they're under the understanding that it can't be amended, and therefore it's the whole bill that needs to not pass. But what's your understanding? Because Joe believes that it can actually still be amended, and so both of us wanted you to ask.
Yeah, Joe is right. So what exactly happened was a Democrat named Ro Khanna who's a member of the Armed Services Committee, brought a motion to strip that section out of the proposed budget that was being finalized out of committee with that vote. There was only a voice vote, which tells me, and I posted about this, that Ro Khanna wasn't really invested in exposing those who are going to oppose this. So what we don't have, which we should have had if Ro brought a recorded vote, would be those congressmen on the record who voted for it or against it. So that opportunity was missed. The bill came out of committee, but it's my understanding it has not been voted on by the full House. There's a vote that'll be scheduled. There'll be debate that'll be scheduled, and amendments can still be brought under what has to be a rule passed for this debate. Now, the rule that's passed for that debate, we haven't seen it yet. Now, the rule might say, and the rules are set by the speaker and the leadership. The rules might say you can bring amendments, or it might say that you can't. There's some very, very arcane rules in both the House and the Senate, and if someone knows what the options are at that level of analysis, they know more than I do about the process. But from there, assuming the House approves it, given the Zionist influence in the House of Representatives and the fact that the Speaker is also a Zionist, has supported every effort to fund both Israel and Ukraine's war efforts, that proxy wars from the U.S. I expect it to pass the House. The Senate then takes up the bill, and to make it fast and quick and avoid any further amendment process, the Senate could just vote on the House's version. So what has to happen for any bill is both the House and the Senate have to agree on the exact same language. That then goes to the president for his signature into law. So that's where we're at. There is still a process that can affect an amendment. I think people should continue to complain to their representatives about this.
Awesome. So just to be clear, Doc, you currently, because I believe it's going to be in the House in the next 4 days, not next 4 days, Tuesday to Friday, it can be amended as in taken out the section 224 still. And how would they do something like that?
Well, they bring an amendment to strip it. Delete the amendment when the vote would be delete the language in this particular section on this particular page in the proposed bill.
So someone like Ro Khanna or Thomas Massey would bring that, and then they'd need 50 congressmen.
Massey said he would, Solomon. Massey said he'll do a floor amendment, which apparently is how they would do this.
Yeah,
And they would need a majority in Congress to pass that, correct?
that's right. Simple majority to take the that particular language out of the bill. So yes, it is still possible. What's happened so far is just at the committee level, which is a very, very huge step. But and why some people who don't understand that level of detail and and how laws are passed in this country wouldn't understand. So it's easily mistaken because the media doesn't cover this sort of when I went to high school, century ago, literally a century ago,
Bro,
we took
that was the 1800s. Are we still talking about that now?
we took a civics class. It was called civics, and we used to pledge allegiance to the flag every day. And children were encouraged to have knowledge about their constitution and their right and respect for the country and their leadership. And that all ended some time ago. So people don't know this. You're really not even taught it. No, I think about it. This sort of level of constitutional law in law school. My knowledge on this certainly was validated and formed by my law school experience and thereafter. But I really learned this sort of stuff back in
Doc,
civics class.
they have to start playing the how you make a bill on Capitol Hill cartoon again. Like they
I
used
posted
to
that
back in the
probably
day.
dozens of times over the years, and it's perfect. You're absolutely right.
Joa said, "Can he pledge allegiance to the UAE?" There's that new Joa. Have you pledged allegiance with that new loyalty act thing?
I would. I think Dubai is amazing.
Nah, blood. Oye. Okay. Let's go to Andy. Andy, jump in. And I always appreciate Doc, by the way, his knowledge of I just saw it. The guy knows his stuff when it comes to the legal framework, constitution, and America when it comes to bills and various other things. There's no one second to none when it comes to Doc. Andy, jump in.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to this again, it's just absolutely ridiculous how there is basically no resistance to this because everyone's distracted, and then when you bring it up, people literally call you, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a Nazi, or literally people say I've been called a Jew hater for mentioning this. It's just patently absurd in comments, and people are just so misinformed, and then some people say, "Oh, this is just a
But no,
psyop."
man, 2026.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. Like it's like the tax people wage against you for even trying to mention this, and then like it feels like these couple spaces, like this space, and then there's a few others, are it's like a couple spaces are like literally the only resistance against this, and then Thomas Massey, Rokana, Anthony Aguilar, and then a few other influencers. It's like we literally this is why we call it accurately the moral resistance because there is so little resistance to this stuff. It's like if it wasn't for these X spaces, I feel like no one would even know that this is happening. And it's such a frightening thing. And like Congress is just going to sign away our sovereignty. And this isn't a Democrat or a Republican thing. Like don't have any illusion about it. This exact same bill would be happening with President Kamala Harris. I mean, we had the genocide in Gaza started. Well, I mean, let's not be honest. It didn't start then. They were genociding Palestinians before October 7th. But we had a genocide under a Democrat administration that continued under a Republican administration. So this is not a right versus left issue. This is an issue of Zionism, which both parties are completely captured by that insidious.
Andy, what's going on with your mic, man?
Oh, I think I had a charger in it. Can you hear it better now?
Yeah, it just keeps going in and out of tone. It's just kind of
Okay,
weird.
I had my charger plug in. I think that was kind of negatively impacting it. So, it's a complete issue of, both parties are completely captured, and that's why very few people are speaking up about it. And it's completely ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and most people don't even know what's going on. I was at a family party for my cousin's graduation today, and I was talking to someone, and a boomer. They were actually relatively enlightened for
And I
a
mean,
boomer.
it just sucks.
Someone's mic is open. I was talking to a boomer who was relatively enlightened, and this boomer said like, yeah, like on October 7th, it's clear like there was a stand down order, so they were relatively enlightened. But then I mentioned this merger, and they're like, oh wow, I didn't know this was even happening. So even people that are fairly enlightened and like knew something was funky about October 7th have no clue this is happening because I mean the mainstream media is obviously not going to report on it. And you have to remember, such a small percentage of the population is on X, and out of the people that are on X, not everyone's following Thomas Massey and seeing his posts. Very few people are in these spaces. So it's like, it's just so few people are seeing this. And even then, like Anthony Aguilar is going to protest, but like one person's not going to make a movement. And like, it's too late to get everyone out in the streets to stop this. They push this bill out, and in a normal democracy you'd have like a month of debate on this. You'd have public hearings where you'd have people from the public go and voice their concerns. That's how a functioning democracy would work, but they don't want that because that would give the public actual time to voice their concerns. Things like this, they just shove down your throat, and they're like, hey, we're going to merge militaries, we're going to take away your sovereignty, sorry, you can't have any input. And it's completely ridiculous. And going back to the Bitcoin, Trump was like, yeah, we're going to go in, Bitcoin's going to boom. The only cryptocurrency that boomed was the Trump coin and the Melania coin and the Barron coin
So
that
low,
he
bro.
tricked his supporters
Such a
into
low guy.
buying.
Such a low guy, Andy. Why would you do something like that? Come on, bro.
Sorry, yeah.
Just Joe is here and he's going through a hard time. Why do you have to talk about crypto crashing? But anyway, do continue.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's like Trump obviously isn't even going to be held accountable for that. Like
And all
that
this
is,
boomer hate. Come on, what's with the boomer hate? It's not the boomers' fault.
And I love the boomers. I love the
I don't hate
boomers.
all boomers, but
No,
I
I
was
love the boomers. They are the vast majority. I was looking at my
Hey,
YouTube channel. The
yeah,
vast majority of my followers are the boomers. We
uh,
love the boomers,
Oh,
the
that is awesome.
elderly, the
That's
nursing
awesome.
homes. we love all of
The
it.
under 30 crowd, get them on a street interview and ask them any sort of reasonable question
Bro,
that
they're not
most of
following my
us
YouTube channel because it's too complicated for them. They don't need it. They
that,
need a
that,
30-second video, Doc.
ask them a question where Israel is. They don't know. They're pointing at
Doc,
Australia.
Doc,
The young are idiots because we've ruined our schools intentionally to make people stupid who accept this sort of stuff without complaint as long as they got their TikTok accounts monetized. I mean, look, yes, did we fuck some things up? Yeah, maybe so. But my parents' generation is World War II generation, the greatest generation. So, and I carry on their traditions and their beliefs. So maybe I'm an exception, but all the boomer hate and blaming boomers for everything, I think it's
exactly, Doc. Tell him, bro. Doc, that was. I think the Gen Z, the millennials and younger, they switched off halfway through. You went too long there, If it's longer than 15 seconds, they ain't gonna listen. That was way too long. They've stopped listening to me now because I've gone over 15 seconds. Go ahead, Andy. Do finish your point though.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there are good and bad people in every generation. That is a fair point. I'll ease off a bit on the boomers. That's a good point, Doc. And I
Let's
appreciate.
go to Prashant because I'm gonna be I've got CIA Larry Johnson coming in about a couple of minutes. If you're on the second YouTube channel, guys, I've posted and now pinned the Moral Resistance channel. Got a great lineup today. We've got Larry Johnson. We've got Aaron Day, who's he's a Bitcoin expert, a kind of AI surveillance state, technocrat stables expert. So he's going to talk about all of those things with him. We've got Lucas Leroux. We'll be talking about Putin giving weapons to Iran and various other things. And then we've got Anthony Aguilera. So we've got a great lineup. But jump in, Prashant, and give us your thoughts. I did go to you earlier, but I think you weren't listening.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you didn't get angry at me and throw me off because I was on important phone calls. But anyway, yeah, I'm probably the oldest boomer.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky. I was being extra nice because I felt like I was being a bit harsh to you last time. I thought normally when people don't speak, I just throw them off, but I thought I'll just leave you on.
Well, I really appreciate that sincerely, but I'm probably the oldest boomer in the room, and I appreciate that Andy appreciates me. So breaking news! Guess who followed Prashant on Twitter today? Somebody guess.
Thomas Massey.
Well, he followed me already before about a year ago, but Laura Ingraham from Fox News. Not only did she follow me, but she DM'd me. Unfortunately, when she DM'd me, I was outside watering my garden, so I answered her back, and I'm waiting to have a conversation with Laura Ingraham from Fox News. How about that?
That's hilarious, bro.
she's a complete slut. Don't accept her DMs.
Whoa. Listen, Doc. Let Prashant do what he's got to do, bro. He's in there in Hawaii. If he's got to, do what he's got to do, you know what I'm saying? While he's with his, while he's doing his guru business, he might want to, be texting Laura Ingraham. But guys, if you're on the second YouTube channel, you need to, let me put this on. Come across to the first YouTube channel, which is the Moral Resistance channel. That is linked. Great discussion, guys. Tomorrow, just to let you know, on the X Space, we are going to start a bit earlier. We're going to be starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, and that's because it is day 100 of the war. So, lots to cover. So we're going to start 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So it's day 100 of the war, and we've got lots to cover. It's 3 or 4 p.m. I'm not sure out of them, so just watch out for that. But we've got lots to cover, so watch out for that. That is going to be really, really good. In the sense of not good, but unfortunately, there's going to be a lot to cover, a lot to recap because it is day. What did I mention? It is day 100 now of the war. We've been going for 100 days. That is crazy. That is crazy indeed. But yeah, we will obviously break down many things related to that this week on tomorrow as well. So I'll have a big interview lineup as well for later in the evening. But yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about in that regard. But it is going to be day 100 of the war now. So this has been going on for 100 days. It's very long. So yeah. So yeah, tomorrow, because I know I've been starting kind of random times this week, and apologies for that. I should have really basically be keeping you guys informed, but I haven't. So yeah, tomorrow will be slightly earlier in the sense of any time between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern. So watch out for that. Give me 1 second.
Make sure you guys repost the space.
Okay, so YouTube